Introducing a revolution in roofing. The elegance of Spain now in metal. At LCA Metal, we blend artistry with strength. Our metal sheets capture the classic charm of Spanish design while offering unmatched durability. Resistance to all weather, our sheets are as tough as they are beautiful. These sheets promise longevity and style. With LCA Metal, your roof becomes a statement. Proudly made in San Jacinto, California, our sheets are a testament to American craftsmanship and innovation. Each piece is crafted with precision and care, ensuring the highest quality. In San Jacinto, we not only embrace tradition, but also push the boundaries of technology to bring you the best in metal roofing. Choose LCA Metal for a roof that stands the test of time. Environmentally friendly, energy efficient, and stunningly beautiful, our metal sheets are more than just a choice. Call or visit us today at 951-654-2874.
Welcome back. I am your host, Crystal Ruiz, and I am here with my good friend, Sonia Ramos from Boxing for Christ. And we were talking about, you had mentioned that you had put Bible quotes up here that you really, you can't preach to them because that's not what you do.
No.
This is, this is not church. This is not where,
Correct.
people should see that. When you think about, preaching and teaching these kids the Christian life, you're living by example.
Yes.
You didn't have it easy.
No. And I need Jesus every day.
Oh, every day you have to ask him.
Every
Me
day.
too. I'm right with you. I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm doing okay. Other times I think, oh God, I'm the worst mom in the world. Or I really need to be at all these events to be more out in my community. And I'm there every day, but I still want to do more. And I think to myself, I'm just not good enough. And you know what? I'm done being not good enough.
Yeah.
I have learned
Yeah.
over the years that sometimes we have to hand it all to God.
Yes.
And when you came here, when you came into this gym, that's what you did. You handed it to God.
Yes.
And God is with you every step of the way.
Yeah.
And you
I just have to
lead,
put in the work.
right, but you lead by example.
Yeah.
Like these kids know that you have a tough time. They know when you're having a bad day.
Oh, yeah.
And they love you, and they love you for what you're doing for them, but they love you as a person. And it's a totally different high that you
Yeah.
get. It's a
Yeah.
whole different high when you're able to help someone who needs that help. And sometimes they don't even know they need the help.
You know what, Crystal? One thing I learned with these kids is to be honest. As hard as it is, you got to be honest with these kids. And I always say, I don't know who told you guys that God's people are weak. We're not weak.
Oh, no.
And sometimes we have to stand up for ourselves.
Well, yeah.
And we get criticized a lot because people say, you got to turn the other cheek. I'm not turning the other cheek.
No, you don't.
Because if I turn the other cheek, these kids won't get the help that they need.
Right.
And sometimes people want to judge us from their point of view, from their fears, from what they can accomplish. They want to bring it on to us. One thing I learned that there's nothing impossible. It's impossible until you make it possible.
Well, that's it. That's exactly it. You have to here's the secret to having miracles. You have to take a step.
Yes.
God always wants us to take action. So if he's providing a miracle for you, you need to take action, take hold and have faith and step forward boldly. And that's the thing. We are bold. We're Christians. We might be quiet Christians, but we are bold. And when the time comes, we step forward. We step up. We defend those that we need to defend.
Yes.
And when God tells us to take someone on, we take them on.
Yes.
The difference is we do this more.
Yes.
We pray more.
Yes.
We talk to God more.
Yes.
'Cause he wants that personal relationship too.
Yeah.
The same relationship that the kids want with you, he wants with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we make mistakes, we fall, we fail, we look stupid sometimes, we say dumb things.
All the time, and that's what I like these kids that I tell them, you guys ain't telling me anything I haven't been through.
Yep.
But if I made it this far, they can do it too.
You
know?
have an example. I mean, that's the bottom line. They have an example of how to do it.
Yes.
And you are that example. You didn't have an example.
I wish I would have.
It was me too. I mean, I had great parents. They weren't perfect, but they were great, and they were the best parents that I could have ever had. Other people, they judge.
Yeah.
They judge, but they judge me.
Oh, I judge it all the time.
I have people who are so arrogant, and I get so upset. And my dear husband,
Sorry.
That's okay. Bless you.
Sorry.
That's
Excuse
okay.
me.
Bless you. He is so kind sometimes, and he's so thoughtful sometimes. He's a husband.
Yeah.
But he thinks about. He knows when I'm hurt by something somebody said, and I just want to vent, and he has to remind me, of the things I've done. And and in the heat of the moment, I'm like, what have I done? And he looks at me and he goes, Crystal, because first of all, you learn to walk when you couldn't
Yeah.
walk. You get out of homelessness. You go and you become the mayor of a city. You fight against odds. Every single election is a miracle for you to win. And God provides that miracle. And during the course of this time, he has you meet not one, but two presidents at their request. And I think, if that was somebody else, I'd be like, wow.
Yeah.
But it's me. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, that's normal.
Yeah.
That's normal. But it's normal for me. But that's why I can be an example for someone else. Look at what you've been through. Look at the things you've gone through and the challenges you've faced. And all of a sudden you're here and you're leading this organization that people want to copy. They want to copy what you do, and they try, but they fail. Because the one thing they forget
It was
is
God's
God.
plan. Yeah.
It's God.
Yeah.
They try and start their gym, start their local boxing thing. We've seen them come and go, but not boxing for Christ.
Yeah.
It's been here since 2011, and it's now
Yes.
2024, almost 2025.
Yes. Yes.
And that's a long time. I bet you didn't think that you would.
Oh,
make it.
no, because I know this is God's plan, because so many times I wanted to quit. I wanted to give up. As you know, I have a lot of medical issues. I have a pituitary tumor. I have multiple sclerosis. I have arthritis in my back. And I have less than 30% blood clots on my legs. And I have glaucoma on my eyes. But that's why they water a lot. But you know what? I always say God's my doctor. And I have to keep going, and I have to keep having the faith. And he has me here for a reason. And to keep going, because don't get me wrong, there's times where I don't feel good, but I thank God for my family, my boys and my daughter and my brother, that they're here running, the gym. They run it. The day I'm the one that just makes sure, bills get paid, they have enough to travel, equipment, anything that they need like
Fundraising.
that. Yes, fundraising, all of that. But they are the ones that are in charge of the kids and all of that. I come in when somebody's in trouble, and they know they don't really like to see me because I'm honest with them. But I tell them that I always tell the kids, every action gets a reaction.
Yeah. Well, good or bad.
Yes.
Good or bad. If you're doing something wrong,
Yes.
you're going to get a certain type of reaction. If you're doing
Yeah.
something right, you're going to
Yes.
get something else.
Yes. So it's all the way they think, and I tell them, one bad choice can change their lives forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
But one good choice can do the same thing.
Can do the same thing.
It
Yes.
can do the same thing.
So that's why I always compare boxing like life, because it's like you're going to get dropped in the ring,
Right.
just like you're going to get dropped in life.
No.
What are you going to do? You're going to get back up and continue the fight,
Or you're going to
or
quit.
you're going to quit and give up,
Yeah.
There's
There's no hope in giving up.
No. And that's what I tell the kids. In life, they're going to throw everything at you. You have to know to be strong, to survive, and it's okay to fail. It's not okay to quit. I learned that. Somebody told me, God don't like quitters.
Nope.
It's okay to fail, but it's not okay to quit.
Right. Well, failing, you can always learn something from it.
It's always a lesson.
Hard. And that's it. It's the lesson that you need to grab onto, because in the middle of it, you're hurt, you're depressed, you're
Yes.
frustrated, you're angry. All these emotions are coming up. All of that comes from a side of us that, we don't necessarily need to focus on. If we focus on what can I learn from it? And sometimes you're
Yeah.
really close to it and it's too hard to do that. So you have to let time step, in between. But when you look back, there's always something you can learn from it.
Yes.
I remember when I was first starting to manage, I was very disciplined. I thought, you follow the rules. I'm a rule follower. Follow those rules. But if you didn't follow the rules, there's consequences,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But I went a little overboard when I was 17. I was making those initial mistakes that somebody doesn't usually make until they're like in their 30s when they're working a
Yeah.
real management job. I was thrown into management at 17 and had to learn on my feet. I also learned not to wear a full plaid outfit. I ran into Blinky the Fun Clown and we matched. It was horrible. It was horrible. Now my kids tease me about that. But we make mistakes, even
Yes,
fashion mistakes.
yes, yeah.
We make mistakes. The fashion mistakes will haunt us. Like they're like something, we have all these cameras now.
Yeah.
And they come back and later on years and
Mine was the hair.
Oh
Big
my
old
gosh.
hair.
Oh yeah. I get look at my high school picture and it really wasn't that big for the day. But because my hair was it was blonde and it was a little bit darker but it was blonde like this. So it turns in camera light. If I let this go, you could see it. It looks almost translucent because it's blonde. It just reflects, right? And so those kind of mistakes we make all the time. We might date the wrong guy.
Yeah.
We might
Marry the wrong guy.
yeah, I mean, we can.
Yeah.
We make the mistake of going with someone not because he's the right person, but because he's going to, he looks at us a certain way.
It's convenient.
Or it's convenient, yeah. Or you know what? You don't know how you're going to do it on your own. But you know what? You're a living example of how you're doing it on your own. Yeah, you have bad days. You're down, and you're thinking the worst thoughts. Those thoughts don't come from God.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you need to rebuke them and walk away.
Yeah.
And say, hey, God does not want you to live in a relationship that is not good for you.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's mentally,
physically, yes.
Yeah, it's not good for you. And same with you have children. So, and I know your children are grown. But if you're in a relationship and you have children they're your children, your responsibility is to protect those children.
Yeah.
So if you're in a relationship that is a bad physically or mentally relationship that you don't think your children should be learning, then you need to get your butt out of that relationship and find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
God's going to provide, but it doesn't mean that just because he provides doesn't mean it's not going to be a rough road.
Oh yeah, but that's that's the learning that you have to go through, because that's what made me stronger. All this that happens to me is what makes me keep going. And it's saying, why can't I do it?
You have purpose.
Oh yeah, I know God's plan for me. Before I would question it, and I would say, why me? I was the worst one. But then it's why not you?
Well,
You couldn't get into places other people couldn't.
That is the question.
You went through that experience, You were living in a man's world, because the stuff I was doing, a man should be doing it. I shouldn't have been doing it, But it was him training me for here.
Right.
Because,
You had to fight for this.
yes, it wasn't easy.
No,
it
and it still isn't easy. It still isn't easy.
And-
You have to fight for every dime you get. And it's hard to ask for money.
Oh,
Oh, it's horrible.
because we were brought up to, you want something, work for it.
Work hard for it.
We weren't taught, go ask people for money, go
Right.
ask. So
Well,
it was hard
We
for me to
weren't
ask.
taught how to do our money like the rich people. We weren't.
No.
We weren't. They are always borrowing money. They never use their own money to do things. It's interesting to watch them. I know several of them now, some of the 1%ers. They don't use their own money to do things. Now, then when they're given to charity, they do. But if you don't ask them for help, they don't even know you exist.
Yeah.
So
I
you
learned
have
that.
to learn to
Yes.
ask for help. And so if you have a nonprofit, this is something they can learn from you, is that don't take no for an answer.
Yeah.
Keep asking.
Yeah, and that's something I had to learn, because it's like, wait a minute, I'm not asking for me. I'm asking for these kids.
Right.
They outgrew me in this program, you know. I never expected. I never expected to go to funerals on some of the students that I had that have passed away. I never expected to be sitting in court, waiting to see what they're going to face, speaking up for them. I never expected that. I just expected to run a normal program, let them work out, go home.
And
Take 'em to compete.
But then you brought them into your heart.
Oh, yes. And it was hard.
But that's what God wants us to do.
Yes.
That's what makes you successful.
Yes.
Because if they didn't think that you were, if you didn't make them part of your family and give them that loving connection, the motherly instinct that you have for all these kids, if you didn't do that, then the problem would be that they wouldn't connect with you.
Yeah,
You wouldn't be growing the way you're growing.
I have I shouldn't say a young man, because he's already a little older, maybe in his 30s. He still calls me from prison
Oh, wow.
to see how the boxing gym is doing. He was a student here.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes
mistake.
my phone rings and it's, somebody's calling me from jail. I'm like, who's in jail? Because you
Yeah,
start getting
oh,
worried
yeah.
right
Yeah,
away.
because you recognize that.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, hey, it's me. How's the gym? How's it going? How's Coach David? How is? It's like, wow, like even from in there,
Yeah.
you still remember us. you
Well,
know?
and it's not just that. They see how God is in your life. And even in jail, God can reach you.
yeah,
The fact that they're still calling you means that they still have that connection.
yeah.
And that means God hasn't let them go yet.
Oh no,
God has not given up on them. So they can't give up on themselves.
Yeah.
Even in real life, in regular life, people that you meet, people that you're so special, Sonia, because you find people that need help, and you're always reaching out and helping people. And sometimes you get burned. Other times you
Yeah.
have no idea how much help that you truly are. You've been such a blessing in my life. I truly
Thank you.
I can't tell you how I look up to you.
thank you.
And I look at all you've done, all of who you are as a person, the honesty that you deal with everything. Oh my gosh. I laugh because you said something to my husband, and he thought it was he thought you were off base.
When I called them the Grinch.
Yeah, the Grinch. And
did.
and what you don't know is we call him Grinch. We call him Grinch. Like that movie, we wanted to get him everything the Grinch. But you told him that. You called him the Grinch. You told him he needed to change his attitude.
I did.
You did. And you know what? He's changed his attitude. And you know what? It's a better place to live. Our family's better for it.
And you know what? I didn't mean to, but it was.
He needed to hear it.
I told him he's very smart.
Oh, Barry.
Very smart. But he's always either sad or not happy.
Yeah, depressed. Mhm.
Yes.
Like the life is not perfect.
Yes.
And that's what he expects it
Yes.
to be perfect, and it's not.
So I had to tell him, like, stop being the Grinch.
Yeah.
You got, we were talking about something.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, oh, we're talking about him getting a job or him wanting to an interview, and he didn't like the way or something they approached him. But he was sad, or he was saying it. I said, okay, think about it. If you had yourself go into a job interview and you're interviewing yourself, and you already have this kind of attitude, would you hire yourself? And he said, no.
Exactly.
I'm like, then what do you? And he's like, okay, I get you.
Well, and he came back and he was a little hurt. But you know what? He
I
needed
didn't
to
know.
be.
I heard his belly.
You know what? He was. My kids are off camera laughing because they know he was. And it's not that, none of us believe that he can't, change, and he has. And this job, he's doing a temporary job right now. He's been out of work for over a year. And so somebody asked him to help out. So he's helping out, but it's in Ontario. Now, for folks here, it's with no traffic, it's a 1-hour drive.
Yeah.
And he leaves at 4 a.m. When he gets up at 4 a.m, he leaves by around 4:30. I drive him because I thought he's working a 12-hour shift. So I was driving there and back. It's after the election, and since I'm a political figure and I was up for re-election, it was really, really
Yeah.
busy up until the election time. And then all of a sudden we have a kind of a reprieve, and I'm getting ready to get, jamming next week. But I've been driving him because I thought he's working 12 hours a day. He's working 5 days a week. That's a lot of hours. And then for him to be an hour there in the morning or an hour and a half there in the morning and an hour and a half to 2 hours coming back is too much.
Yes.
So I drive, and then what happens is we sleep in the car. So if I take somebody with me, we sleep in the car. The kids are at homeschool.
Wow.
So we rest there for a couple hours while he's working, and then we'll go walk. They have a mall not far from there. We walk that mall over and over and over and over, just in circles, and get our walk on. And then we come back and we hang out in the parking lot. And then finally we pick him up and we come home. And he the other day he had to drive, and a couple times coming up in this next month. I mean, his job ends shortly here, but as long as he's working, I will have events during the day. So I will either have to take him and go to Riverside and go to my meetings, and then go back and get him. But he is not, Ontario's not that far from Riverside. It's just if I came home.
Yes.
And I was going and coming, right? And it was absolutely horrible. So just on Thanksgiving, he drove, and because I was cooking Thanksgiving meal, right? So I'm like, you have to drive yourself. So he wasn't real happy about me, and his whole attitude had changed until Thanksgiving Day. And so then he comes home, and he was just in a crabby mood. He was tired. He loved the dinner. He was very appreciative of that, but he was just getting that same grinchy attitude. And the very next day, I really didn't say much because I was really upset. And the next day I went to drive him, and all of a sudden in the middle of the drive, he looks at me and he goes, I really appreciate you driving me. And I was like, oh, thank you, God.
Yeah.
But that talk you had, that's what did it. That helped. He needed to hear. He needed to hear that. Now he's playing Christmas music. He's been playing it since your conversation.
Wow.
He's been reading Christian books, and he's been trying to stay more positive and focus more on the hope.
Yes.
We know, and folks out there, you've experienced this, that things get really bad before it gets really good.
Oh, yes.
So when I was homeless, when I was told I'd never get out of the wheelchair and I'd never walk again, you can't get any lower than that. I should say the neighbor thought he was going to be my boyfriend, and then decided to mark his territory right in front of my tent. And I look out, and there he is urinating in front of my tent. You can't get any lower than that. That's the bottom of the barrel. If God can take me from there to meeting with presidents at their request, he can take anybody anywhere.
Oh, just look at me. If he could take
anywhere.
me from where
Think about where you're going.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing too. And it's so funny because it's not that you're being cocky or not that you're being conceited, but once you know where God is taking you,
Right.
and nothing can change your mind.
Right. They can't stop you.
Yes. And you sound like sometimes like arrogant or something like, but it's like, no. I know who I am. I know what God has for me. I know I will be building my boxing academy. I know I will be saving more youth's lives. I know that Riverside County, we will be preparing these youth for the world because honestly, in a jail, what is it like 70,000 or 80,000 per one to house one inmate a year?
Yep.
If they were to give that money to a nonprofit organization that can put it to you, and instead of these kids going back to jail, they get experience, they get certified, they get a job, they start living like a normal person. It's way different because these kids now have something to look forward to. They're building jails like crazy because they expect these kids to go there.
I'm going to say something right here, and the world is our witness to what I'm about to tell you. I am going to talk to Trump about Boxing for Christ. I'm going to let him know that he needs to fund this academy, that you need help, and not just help help from Trump, help from Elon Musk, help from any of those one percenters that can help build this, because you are changing lives. This is the time we need to go for it. This is the time
Yeah.
we need to be bold and ask. And so I fully, and I tell you, I have done everything I told you I'm going to do. I'm going to do this for you, and I'm doing it right now. So Elon, Mr. President, we need help here. Boxing for Christ is in dire need of this academy.
Yeah.
This community, Riverside County
needs it bad.
the academy. And I know that you're mad about the deportation thing, but we're a non-sanctuary city. So hopefully, Newsom isn't going to help us. He's declared that already. Maybe Trump can, and we could save these kids' lives, not just, deport the terrorists. And those are the ones we want gone. But we want to build families, strong families.
And it's not that, but I know it's coming. I know it's, and I don't mean to say, with like Trump or, God already confirmed it.
Oh, yeah.
God already confirmed it to me that I will be building this boxing academy. So it's like I tell them, all I have to do is keep going, keep having the faith. I'm gonna fall a couple of times, but you know what? Nothing wrong with getting up and dusting yourself and keep going. But I'm not stopping, Crystal. I'm not
well, you're
stopping
not,
until
because
I build.
I think that you're going to get your building sooner than you think you're going to get.
Yes.
I think you're going to help these kids in more ways than you can even imagine. You're going to be long gone, and you're still going to be helping these kids.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of legacy you want to leave. That's the kind of legacy everybody should be looking to
It's funny
leave.
that you say that, because I was very ashamed of my story. I was ashamed of what I did. I was embarrassed because I wasn't brought up like that. But God keeps telling me that once I build this academy, I have to go and speak my story to other people, to other women that have is either going through or have gone through, but have no hope.
Right.
They said, and so I know for a fact that God wants me to speak, but He wants to show people what He did
It's possible.
through me, that everything is possible,
Yeah.
because it's been documented.
Yeah.
I have a documentary that started way back.
Yeah, I remember.
We're waiting for the final, as we build. Once we build, the documentary will go out, but it'll show step by step everything
Yeah.
that I went through when I started it. So I know God wouldn't have put this at first if it wasn't going to happen, but He definitely has been talking to me and saying, and it's going to be built in San Jacinto. That's where
And
He wants me.
It's interesting, because you keep talking about God talking to you. And I always, I do this podcast, Let's Talk God, Jesus, and Faith Today with Pastor Tom Clayton. And we were talking about that. We've been talking about it for a little while. And when God talks to you, we always say God's in our heart, but God's really not in our heart. God's in our soul.
Yeah.
He's all the way in our soul, and our soul comes from here. So when we hear something, we don't necessarily hear it through here, but you get this feeling, and it
Yes.
like bubbles up.
Yes.
And you're like, what the heck is that feeling? It's like meeting the person that you're meant to be with for the rest of your life. The real one. It comes from here. We have the heartbeat that goes,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I love somebody.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean they love you, and it doesn't mean it's a good relationship. When you hit the right one, it comes from here and it bubbles up.
Yeah.
And God has a way of changing you both to be better together.
I learned that. When I started knowing more about God, and I started getting the love of God, where it's like I had to show Him I love Him first, God before anybody,
Right.
because we have a jealous God.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's where I learned that, you know what? I may not understand. I may not agree. I may be confused, but I got to trust
Right.
in His timing and the way He wants me to do things. I tell you, it hasn't been easy. It's been a struggle, but I'm not a quitter.
No,
And
no.
I'm a fighter. One thing I've always been was a fighter.
Well, and that's it. That's what you're good at. and you're good at picking yourself up. Some people aren't able to, they can't even fathom picking themselves up. They have to have help up. But that's why the story is so important.
Yeah.
That's why seeing this interview is so important for people, because people need to know, yeah, you're going to have troubles.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have, now, I went from a high paying job, and nowadays it's not a high paying job. Nowadays it would equal probably $150,000 a year, $200,000 a year. But I was making $70,000 a year when at a restaurant, working in a restaurant. And that was good money then. You didn't see women making that kind of money then, but I was making that. And then I found a hole. I fell in a hole. And that was the end of everything.
Yeah,
Everything as I knew it, it was gone in an instant. I couldn't walk. I was in so much pain. Even now, last Christmas we had Candy Cane Lane, where we had a snow down on Main Street in San Jacinto. We had this big festivity, and my knee was killing me all day. I just couldn't. In fact, it was like a couple days up to it. And finally, I was just like, I can't walk around that event, so I had to use a wheelchair. And so we used, my husband had a newer wheelchair, and my wheelchair has been used and abused, right?
Yeah.
So he had a little bit newer one, but it didn't cost, I think it cost $500 is what we paid for. And we went to the event, and I'm very vulnerable, very frustrated. All those emotions, all those feelings that I had in that chair the first time, they came racing back, especially when there's a lot of people around.
Yeah.
You know, it gets very dangerous because they don't look down. Somebody hit the wheelchair the side where my leg was, and the wheelchair leg fell off. The parts fell off.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, I'm in pain because he hit me, but I'm thinking, it's dark. We couldn't even see the parts.
Yeah. Yeah.
It took us 45 minutes to get that thing together. In the meantime, I was freaking out because I'm like, there's too many people. There's too many people. I can't be here. It was horrible. And I'm trying to represent the folks, but I'm freaking out inside. And it just goes to show you, you know, sometimes in our lives, we freak out.
Oh.
Sometimes it's so emotionally scary.
You freak out, Crystal, and not only that, you have people in your ears.
Oh, yes.
You can't do this. You can't do it without me. You're not gonna survive.
They're so negative.
The gym's gonna. Yes, you know, I was told that. It's close, from very, very close. My own partner told me that.
Remember, though, when you
And
asked me and I showed up, remember what you told me later? You were ready to quit.
yeah, yes, I was ready to quit.
And I didn't know that.
I was ready to quit. I wanted to shut this down. I was going through a lot of personal problems.
And
But-
you were thinking you might go back to that old life, huh?
You know
might need
what? I didn't. He wanted to, but I didn't want to, Crystal. You don't understand. Once you get out of it, I have peace of mind. You know, you start caring about these kids.
You're at peace. That's the word.
Yes,
Peace.
and you don't want to go through the embarrassment or through the, you know what? I'm telling these kids not to do it, but then I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Like it's not making sense. But so I had to set boundaries. When I started setting boundaries, and I started treating people the way they treated me, they didn't like it.
Yeah.
They didn't like it. They walked away. They left. But it taught me to be stronger.
But you know what is interesting? And my husband always tells people this. God has a way of putting people in our lives, right? Sometimes they come in and they're not good for us, and next thing you know, they're gone.
Yeah.
It's like they just disappear. They're gone.
Yeah.
You know, and they're doing their own thing, and that's fine. But you don't deal with them.
God put them there to teach us a lesson.
Well, maybe not us, but maybe them.
Yeah.
To
Well,
teach them a lesson. We have to learn to trust God, and that's the thing
Yeah.
that He wants us to do, is to trust.
but also, I'm
maybe
a
to
firm
identify.
believer that it's also a lesson for us, because sometimes we're used to our way. Our way.
Oh, we get in the way.
Yes.
don't we?
Or we get in our own way.
Get in God's way.
Yes. And we just have to, you know what? Let go, let God.
Yes, that's
I
it.
learned that so long ago. Let go, let God do it. As I lost a lot of people in between all this. I even lost my own, like, I'm literally now divorced. But it was because I believe in this program.
Right,
I
but
believe in these kids.
Sometimes people around us, okay, in most cases, they want to pull you down because they don't want you to be successful, because
They
That-
want the center of attention.
Right. That's not what, it doesn't benefit them. They want to keep you down.
Yeah.
Good people want to lift you up.
Yes.
They don't care how high you rise. We want you to rise high, but they aren't going to try and pull
I
you down.
learned that with my Seroptimus women and my Rotary group. If I didn't have those two groups, Crystal, when I was going through all of this, I don't think I would have been able to keep going. But those two groups lifted me up, didn't let me let myself down. They kept me busy. They lifted me up. And so that's what I learned. I learned that, you know what, there's good people in this community. You just got to find the right ones.
Right.
A lot of them are going through what you're going through, but they're still like,
Strong.
yeah, I call them badasses. I
Yeah.
would say there's badass ladies in this valley, because even through the hard times, their medical issues, everything, they still make things happen, and
Yeah.
they still lift women up. They don't put women down.
Yeah, and that's what we need more of. Across the nation, we need more
We
of
need
that.
a lot of those women that can. I was fortunate enough to have those women lift me up. That's why I am where I am, because you guys didn't give up on me. You were one of them that didn't give up on me, and that I appreciate it.
I never
because,
will.
It's so funny because I always say, growing back up, my Buddha met Crystal. I don't think we were so different. I said, I was such into the gangs and just wild life. I said, I don't think we wouldn't have got along. I said, but then when we got to know each other, she's just as tough. She's just white. I'm Mexican, but she's just as tough.
Yeah.
And so you learn how to get along with people. You learn that it doesn't matter what color, what
Right.
race. We're all the human race.
Right. We all bleed
It's
red.
just the choices that we make
Yeah.
is what makes us different.
Right.
But
Doesn't make us better.
no,
It's just
it
different.
just makes us different.
Right.
And so that's what I learned, and that's what I'm going for. And I tell you, I'm not stopping. I'm a firm believer that God is with me, and I will be building the boxing academy. It will be built in San Jacinto, and it will be the biggest program in Riverside County.
I believe you're right, and
I'm
I
claiming
believe
it.
I believe that it's going to be bigger than Riverside County. I think your vision is small.
Yeah.
I think that it's going to be way bigger than that. I think you have touched lives, and it's like our pastor is 80 years old. Pastor Tom is 80 years old, and when I think about the number of people that he's helped, and
Yeah,
we were
including
talking-
myself.
Yeah.
Including myself. It's helped.
when we talked this last week, we are filming some of these episodes like we're doing now, because if you have a holiday or if you have something that you have to miss, I don't want people to miss an episode. So we're filming one, going live with one every Friday, and kind of filming and delivering them all so that people will now be able to see them on a regular basis. But one of the things we were talking about was the number of people he's actually helped, as a pastor, because his congregation right now, he was the largest congregation in the entire valley. He had the largest church. He had everything going in the right direction, and things happened, and he decided, God wants me on missionary work. So they walked away from it all, and they went on missionary work. And years later, they came back, and they were going to leave, they thought. But God said, no, you stay. And so they stayed. And so they've been, struggling for a place and struggling for this and struggling for that, just like us. And I kept telling him, do a podcast. You need to do a podcast. He didn't know what I was talking about. Put yourself on video. You need to do this because his message is there. You don't see those messages. Do you remember, did you go to church when you were young?
Yes.
Okay, was your church one of those, you're gonna repent, you're going to
Well, first and foremost, when I first went to church when I was small, we were Catholic first.
Uh-huh.
So half of the time I didn't understand what they were saying.
Yeah, their pomp and circumstance. I don't
Yeah.
get it. And I don't, no offense to Catholics, and maybe somebody will be able to someday explain it properly to me. I don't get praying to saints. I don't get
Me
all
either.
of that, because Jesus says you can't go through it to the
I'm a jealous God, and
Well,
you don't.
Jesus says you can't go to God but through me, not but through my mother or all these other people, but through me. And he wants a direct relationship with you. So I don't get it. But each religion is different.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own thing. But so you started out Catholic, and then what happened?
So then from there, my mom became Christian, and but I remember as us Catholic, our neighbors were Christians, and they would take us to their church, and little by little, I would learn, but I didn't understand. And even as a grown up, when I first started going to church, it took me 4 years of going to church on Sundays to get to know the Holy Spirit.
Oh yeah.
I would go sit down in church, and I started out by sitting in the back. I didn't all the way in the back. I didn't want nobody.
No.
But as you're going and you want to learn and you're hungry for it, then you start going in the middle.
Right, and then you
going.
start moving up.
And then once you just feel so confident and you just want, then you don't care where you sit.
Yep. You just
know.
want to be in the room.
Yes, you just want to be in the room and you just want to
And
listen.
then you have to learn to take it home though.
Yeah.
Because what happens is we're at church Sunday, we act one way.
Yeah.
We come out Monday and we act totally different.
Yeah. You know what was my hardest thing was people would quote the Bible. I didn't know how to quote the Bible. I didn't
Me
know
neither.
read the Bible or anything. But I would ask God, like, God, how do I get to know the Bible? Like, I don't understand it. Then did you ever see the program, The Bible? And they would break up the Bible by episodes?
No.
Oh, yeah. I was saying at my mom's, and I don't know if it was on Netflix or, but it was called The Bible. And they would break up the different chapters, all about what happened in the Bible, but they put it on film.
Ah.
That's how I was able to understand it. It was like,
Yeah, it's crazy. Well,
God,
each
like-
time you read it, have you read it yet?
I read it, but
It didn't.
then I read it again, and it's like,
It's totally different.
yes,
It's totally
yes.
different. That's what amazes me. Every time I read it, it's like, I know I'm so wrong, and God didn't want me to do this, but when you read it and you look at the disciples, I put them on a pedestal. I thought, God chose them.
Yeah.
He chose them to do these great things. Wow. I didn't think they were regular people.
Yeah,
I didn't-
murderers, yes.
Yeah. Tax
Yes,
collectors.
yes.
We know tax collectors.
Yes.
Even today, we don't like
Yes,
tax collectors,
yes.
right? They were sinners. They were Saul hunted them,
But you know,
and killed them.
Crystal, those are the ones who God uses. One thing I've learned, and that's why sometimes people don't like me because I'm so straight out, but I'm honest. I got to be honest. But sometimes, you would go to the church, and the own people at church would put you down.
Oh, yeah.
And they would act like they were
Better
up
than-
here.
Yeah, better than you. Mhm.
And it was like, no.
That's why I had that problem.
God wants you to what you learned. Go and take it out in the world. Go
Right.
other people that need it. And it's not preaching to them. It's letting them know what God did in your life.
Right.
Like that's all. I can't preach to you and tell you, or I can't. How do I say it? Judge you. Because I'm not perfect. Nobody was perfect but God.
Yep.
And I still have a lot to learn, and I'm learning as I'm going. But one thing I am is honest, and I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings. But I'm not
sometimes
going to
people-
sugarcoat.
but Sometimes people.
Like I tell you, I didn't mean to hurt
Yeah.
Chuck's feelings.
Sometimes people need to hear it, from somebody from the outside, because you can be inside the relationship or inside the situation, and nobody wants to hear your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody from the outside looking on can go, "Wait a minute, I think you need to hear this."
Yeah.
And sometimes those comments, the honesty that you have, the quick response that you have, that comes from God.
Yeah.
So when you open your mouth, know that He is sometimes telling them something that they need to hear.
Yeah.
So don't feel bad for it, because he needed to hear that, and his whole attitude's changed. The way he's living his life has changed, but all because you had the courage to speak up. And sometimes we need that courage. But you're right, a lot of Christians, and this is the thing that when I was young I had a problem with, the born again Christian age, and that didn't mean born again like we mean it now. It meant getting out, getting in people's faces with the signs, you're gonna go to hell if you don't believe
Yeah.
in Jesus and all of this. And they look down on you.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't do this.
Yeah.
Oh, how could you wear that? My gosh. I'm not like that. I think God reaches us where we're at.
It doesn't say in the Bible, God knows who you were before you were in your mother's womb.
Right.
So he knew our attitudes. He knew
Oh, yeah.
who we were going to be. That's why he uses us in certain places.
Right.
Because Here, you can't come and talk to these kids in a suit and tie.
Oh, no, because they're not,
Who are you? What have you been through?
yep.
But come in here with tattoos, Levi jeans that have been through something, then no, okay, I respect you because you know exactly what I'm going
We have to
through.
make this year, I need to come back here more often this year.
Well, we're having our Christmas party December 19th.
We'll put that on the calendar. But we need to come back in more often. Some of the kids want to come back. They just don't want to get in the ring.
Oh, they don't have to get in the ring. They don't have to spar, but they can train.
That's what they were wanting
Yeah,
to do,
they can
especially
train.
now.
Yeah.
When we're learning more and more about what's happening in our world.
Well, they need to learn self-defense
this-
just overall.
Well, yeah, exactly. And with what happened, you know, I don't care what political view you are, what's happened in the United States over the last few years is criminal. It is terrorism. And people are here that we wouldn't even have them on the streets. They would be on death row if we caught them. But they released them from other countries and gave them a map to get here and who to check in with and who to, you know.
But you know what? As long as we keep focused, because, you know, as you know, they always say God did not give the spirit of fear, but a sound mind, power, and love.
Yep.
So you learn that you can't be living your life in fear.
No,
or you
but
can't.
that's why the self-defense.
That's what I'm saying.
Because we
that
have to be confident
prepared
to-
mentally, physically, and spiritual.
Well, and you know, okay, we're older. We'll just call it that. A
Yeah.
little bit older. But you go through your life, and in your 30s, by your early 30s, you're in the top shape of your life.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but it was for me. Everywhere, one that I know, it's been like that.
Yeah.
By early 30s, they're in the best physical shape that they have ever been in their life. Once you come down from that, there's only one way, and it's
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
You know? So how do we do that? A place like this for an adult to come and just to get a good workout and training
Yeah.
and to start getting better physically fit is good. But you can't jump right in. You can't dive right in when you have not been exercising.
Just an example, the new Clarissa,
Uh-huh.
doing city council, she's been training for years. I think 3 to 4 years she's been training here at Boxing
Wow.
for Christ.
and is she boxing or she, like in the ring?
She's gotten in the ring. She's gotten in the ring to spar, but she's been training, and she comes and she even trains with the kids and stuff. And then she says she's doing it for her own self, that she needs to do it. But she's been here for like 4 years.
I'm so excited to get to work with her.
Yeah,
I think
so-
that she's going to be a good fit.
So we help everybody.
Yeah, you do. You do. And that's what matters is that there's help out there.
Yes.
And whether you're here in San Jacinto Valley or whether you're in Riverside County or whether you're in another state, all they have to do is reach out to you through, and your website is what?
But right now I'm working on my website, but I do have I catch up on my Instagram is daily activity. Then I have a Facebook and I have a YouTube.
And so they can always reach out
just
through
Boxing
through
for
those.
Christ. Yes.
Boxing for Christ.
And then you guys can also Google me. My phone number is everywhere, so they can they can.
you
get in
answer
touch.
your phone when you don't know who they are?
Yes,
You're amazing. I
I
have
have to because I have a lot of parents that call. A lot of people,
Oh.
like I said, I have people that call me from jail. See, I'm doing, but I just naturally because I say they don't know who you are over the phone. I have no problem answering. And
Yeah, I have
if
to be
they're,
really
you know,
careful. So when it rings, if I recognize the number, or if somebody texts me first and say, "Hey, this is so and so," and can I call you? I'm in a meeting. Generally, if I'm in a meeting, I'm like, "I'm in a meeting. I'll call you back." You know, something like that. But texting for me is so much better than I know. You know, and sometimes my personal phone does not ring. Like you'll say you called, I won't get that message for 3 weeks, and all of a sudden it goes, "Oh, you got a message," and I'm like, "What the heck?" And I listen, and there, my box is full. My mailbox is full. How did my box? It doesn't even alert me that I got a message. So, and then what's weird is it's full with 10 messages. How the heck is 10 messages full?
Yeah.
It's that my phone has gone crazy wacko. So texting for me is like the end all be all. Just identify yourself, who hey, or go through Facebook. You know, people
No,
message
you know
me
what?
through there.
I answer my calls because you
Yeah.
know what? I always think I never know what if it's one of my students
Yeah.
and they're in trouble.
Yeah.
And they have to use somebody else's phone or
Yeah.
you know.
I've had people call like that.
I've always answered the phone.
Yeah, I've had people call like that, but I've gotten more to if you text me first, it's better, just because then I know.
Yeah.
But you're
in city council. and
Right,
it's
I'm an elected
different.
official, so it's a
Yeah.
little different. It gets a little more, I've had people call me on the phone and just curse me out, and, and
I'm sorry
my
when they do
husband-
that, and may God forgive me, but I curse them back.
Oh, it's Chuck.
I was like, don't play with me.
My husband goes, why don't you just hang up on him? Why don't you just hang up on him? I'm like, you know what? Let him talk because it's just through the phone. But most of the time, I end up in a meeting because people like to call during the day.
Yeah.
And so I'm in some type of meeting. I'm at a board where we're live on TV. There's no way I can walk away from the
Yeah.
board. So it's like, it's very busy.
Yes.
There's a little bit busy life for me, but I really, most people have now gotten used to texting, or they go through Facebook, because if
Yes.
it comes through Facebooks, I get that alert.
Yes.
And
And
it
I learned
pops
how to
up.
do that too.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I'll
had
reach them
to.
somehow.
Yeah, that's exactly it, because the Facebook will pop it up and I'll know who you are, and and they'll say, call me when you have a
Yeah.
chance. This is what I want to talk about, and I'm like, okay, cool. And I, call them back as soon as I can.
I get a lot of constant phone calls about the program because every day we get new kids. Every single day we get
Well,
new
your
kids.
school just started back up. We're now at
Yes.
Christmas, like their first break.
Yes.
And so you're coming up now during Christmas break. Are you open the whole
So
time?
I closed this week for Thanksgiving,
Uh-huh.
and then we opened back up December, and then we closed that Christmas week leading to New Year's, and then we open up January 2nd again.
Nice.
So the only time the coaches get their vacation 1 week would just
that-
the 1 week for Thanksgiving, and then the 1 week for Christmas, because sometimes we're closed on the weekends, but they're working. They're up in like competing, so they can be in San Diego, they can be in LA, they can be in Palm
Now,
Springs.
let me
but they're
ask you something. Do you pay your coaches?
No, I don't.
So you can't pay your coaches yet. So I'm going to ask anybody who can help sponsor your program,
Yes.
help. These coaches, you yourself should at least be getting a salary, and you don't even get a salary.
You know what? We at the point we can't do it. I mean,
But you need more
I'll
money.
give my coaches like a little bit of donation. I mean, for gas, so they can gas when they have to also take the kids to
Events.
spar events. I mean, we had, as you know, we had nothing when we started. The equipments are expensive.
You used to sleep in the cars.
to be and
Remember?
stuff. Yes, when we used to go and compete, we didn't have money for hotels or anything, so we slept in the car.
With the kids.
With the kids.
Yeah.
But to them, it was like a field trip. To
Oh, it's
them, it was,
camping.
yeah. it's
That's what
camping.
we do.
They had a ball. And
That's how we
even
travel. We sleep in the car.
Yes, and even when we compete at casinos, we would sleep in the hallways, put the couches together and sleep there and stuff. Because we didn't have money to be coming back and forth, and these
Right.
kids had to compete like the next day. And then,
Yeah.
so God
You
makes
do
it work.
You do what you
And we
have
make
to
it
do.
fun. Yeah.
But now's the time that you need donations to keep this program going. You need donations to build this program
Yes.
into everything.
And then I also started, I don't know if you know, like I also started our yearly youth conference now that I do a yearly youth conference. I do hygiene classes now. And then we actually started a bike run where
nice.
2 weeks ago, Saboba, parents from here, and other organizations, Hammett and Center, we all got together and we did a bike ride where they rode the bikes all over San Jacinto and Hammett, kind of like a healthy way
I
to
so
do
would
it.
have loved to do
We
that.
came back over here. They had sponsored bikes. These kids want bikes,
Oh,
helmets.
nice.
So we had never done it before. Got together with
I
other
need one of those
organizations.
bikes that I don't have to pedal.
That'd be nice. huh?
Because my knee, I can't go very far. I can go like around 2 or 3 times on the thing, and then my knee dislocates.
Oh,
So it's very painful. But you know how they have those bikes where you have a seat in the
Yeah.
back and somebody can ride in the
Yeah.
bike? That's what I want to do. We got to get one of those bikes. So I
Well,
can do-
we got to do it more. I really enjoyed it. Where I had never seen so, and even the people that organized the bike ride, they had never seen so many turnout, like the big turnout that we had.
That's so
And it was
awesome.
amazing. So we want to keep it. Like
You should do it
doing
2 times
once
a
a
year.
year.
No,
Yeah.
you should do it 2 times
You
a
know
year.
what? We were really thinking of doing it in the summer and then doing it
Right, or in spring.
And it was just amazing.
When it's not so hot in the
yes.
spring.
And it was amazing, Crystal. Like to see Saboba come together. Well, Saboba's always our biggest sponsor.
Saboba's a huge sponsor
Yes.
of the community.
But for them to come with their people with the bikes, and then Hammett and Acento, and then other bike organizations, nobody didn't really know each other, but everybody came together and we're riding together, and it was just
Oh,
amazing.
that is so awesome. We got to get one of those bikes because I want to go this
Yes,
time.
yes, and that's what I think this community needs.
Yeah, I think it does. I think all communities need that. You need to get together and do something. Yeah, we don't have a lot of money. You know, everybody talks about, oh, you want to do all these youth programs. Well, we've worked on trying to get all these different things in here, but we don't have the money to fork over the money for it. Some people, you know, if you want to do something like that, you can always call the city hall and say, hey, we want to do this. We're going to give you a grant for this program. How much do you think it would cost? And let's get together. But for a lot of these things, it costs a lot of money. And it can't, our city staff, we are a very slim city staff. We had to when we cut back and balanced the budget.
Yes.
You know, we had to cut everything down. So our community has to come together. But organizations, nonprofits like you should be doing things like this to bring the community together.
Yes.
And then you reach out to the city and say, hey, could you help promote this?
Okay.
Could you help? You know, we know you don't have funds, but could you help do this? Could you put us in contact with somebody who has funds? Because you've learned that it's not just the city that helps fund this, the county would help
Yes.
fund this.
Yes.
The state, even those in Washington, D.C. would help fund projects like this. So it's just who knows who and how they can help.
Yes.
And so the people who are viewing this, if you know someone who can help Sonia, definitely get in touch with Sonia and get in touch with them and make the connection. You can be part of the solution. So
Yeah.
with that, I'm going to thank you for being here. I had so much fun.
Me
And you know,
too.
I love you and I'm so proud of you.
Thank
and you have all my support, 100% of my support. You know that.
Yes.
Anything you need. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you
Thank you.
next time.
Bye-bye.